A hunter in the Kalahari sits motionless for 6 hours. He is watching a single hole in the sand. He is waiting for a porcupine to surface. He does not check the time. He does not sigh. He does not fidget. He feels no urge to leave. To him, this is not boredom. This is the entire point of being alive. And somehow, the same brain that built that hunter also built slot machines, smartphones, and infinite scroll. Most people assume boredom is human nature, a default setting we've always fought against. Something cavemen felt around the fire, just like we feel it now, staring at a screen. That assumption is wrong. Boredom, the itch, the restlessness, the need for something, is not ancient. It is not hardwired. It is not the price of being conscious. It is a symptom, a side effect of living inside an environment your brain was never built for. Hunter-gatherers didn't suppress boredom better than we do. They barely experienced anything like it at all. And the gap between them and us tells you almost everything about why you can't put your phone down. It's not that you're weaker than they were. It's that you're running ancient software on hardware that was never updated for the modern feed. In the 1960s, anthropologists tracked the daily lives of the Juhoansi people in the Kalahari Desert. They expected to find exhaustion, a brutal, non-stop struggle for survival. Instead, they found something stranger. Adults worked roughly 15 hours a week to meet their needs. The rest of the time was spent resting, talking, telling stories, repairing tools, doing nothing in particular. No calendars, no deadlines, no scrolling for something to do. Researchers gave it a name, the original Affluent Society. Not affluent in money, affluent in time. Picture a man lying in the shade at midday, completely still, completely content. No phone in his hand, no fidgeting, no glazed-over stare into the distance. His brain was not starving for stimulation. It was getting exactly what it evolved to expect. Small amounts of real-world information, spaced naturally across a long, unhurried day. Now picture his modern descendant, sitting in traffic, tapping the steering wheel, unable to sit with 5 minutes of silence. Same biology, same nervous system, same factory settings, 10,000 years apart. He isn't lazier. He isn't weaker. He isn't missing some gene for patience. He's living inside a completely different supply of stimulation, and his ancient hardware is struggling to keep up. Something in the gap between them is doing all the work. Fast forward to 2014, University of Virginia. Researchers placed modern adults alone in a bare room. No phone, no book, no window, just their own thoughts, for as little as 6 to 15 minutes. Most people hated it. So much that, given the option, a striking number chose to give themselves a mild electric shock, just to have something happen. Picture it. A man alone in a chair, finger hovering over a shock button, choosing pain over stillness. Compare that to the hunter in the sand, sitting in silence for hours, untroubled, almost peaceful. Same species, same factory-installed brain hardware, wildly different relationship with empty time. Something changed between that hunter and this man in the lab. It wasn't evolution. Evolution doesn't move that fast, not in a few thousand years. It was the environment surrounding the brain. The hunter's silence was full of faint signals. Wind, tracks, distant calls, the smell of rain approaching. His brain treated stillness as a sensor sweeping the horizon, not as a void to be filled. The lab room had none of that. It was sealed, sterile, signal-free. And a brain trained for centuries on faint signals, suddenly given none, starts to panic. It reaches for anything, even a small jolt of pain, rather than sit with nothing at all. Picture a forager walking through tall grass at dawn. She doesn't know what she'll find under the next bush. Maybe berries, maybe nothing, maybe a root worth an hour of digging. Every step carries a small, unresolved question. That uncertainty is not annoying to the brain. It is fuel. Neuroscientists studying dopamine found something counterintuitive. It doesn't spike most when we receive a reward. It spikes hardest when a reward is uncertain, when we don't yet know if it's coming. Foraging life was uncertainty, stretched evenly across an entire day, tracking an animal by a single broken twig, reading clouds for rain, guessing which valley ripened first this season. The brain stayed lightly, constantly engaged. Never starved of input, never flooded by it either. It's the same circuitry that makes a fishing line feel exciting even when nothing bites for an hour straight. Picture a single bobber on still water, and a man watching it without blinking, fully absorbed. That stillness isn't emptiness. It's a brain-sipping novelty at exactly the rate it was designed to receive it. The ancient world delivered surprise in a slow, steady drip. Never too much, never too little. It paced itself automatically, because the world itself only revealed itself slowly. No one had to practice patience back then. The environment built it in for free. Now picture a man on his couch holding a glowing rectangle. One thumb flick brings a joke. The next brings a tragedy. The next brings a stranger's vacation photos. Studies tracking phone use have found people unlock their devices well over 100 times a day. That's not idle curiosity. That's a brain chasing the same dopamine spike the forager got from a footprint in the dirt. Except this spike arrives in half a second, and it's gone in 3. There's no slow tracking, no waiting, no skill required, no real uncertainty resolved, just an endless hallway of doors, each one cracked open to something slightly new. Picture an animal at a feeder that refills itself the instant it's empty. It doesn't rest. It doesn't pace itself. It doesn't stop to digest. It just keeps pressing the lever. The forager's brain expected scarcity, spaced out gently across hours. The modern brain gets abundance, compressed violently into seconds. That mismatch has a name. We call the discomfort it produces boredom. But it's really withdrawal, dressed up as restlessness. The forager never had to fight this feeling, because the feeling never had a reason to exist. You fight it daily because your pocket holds a machine built to manufacture it on purpose. In the 1950s, psychologist B.F. Skinner ran a simple experiment with pigeons. One group got a food pellet every single time they pecked a lever. Predictable, reliable, almost boring. A second group got a pellet only at random intervals, sometimes after 1 peck, sometimes after 50. The second group pecked harder, longer, and more obsessively than the first, long after they were full. Unpredictable reward beat guaranteed reward every single time. Casino designers later built slot machines on that exact principle, almost line for line. Picture a woman pulling a lever, losing 9 times in a row, feeling no urge to stop on the 10th. Her brain isn't tracking her money. It's tracking the possibility of the next surprise. Your phone runs on the same lever, dressed in a nicer interface. Every refresh of a feed is a pull. Most pulls give you nothing. A few give you something. You can never predict which one will land. That unpredictability is not a flaw in the design. It is the entire design. The same trick that worked on pigeons, and it still works on you. Skinner's pigeons never evolved a defense against it, because nothing in nature had prepared them for it. Neither did you. Your ancestors never needed one. Watch a toddler left alone in a room with nothing but a stick. Within a minute, that stick becomes a sword, a spoon, a magic wand, a drumstick. No screen, no app, no prompt, just a slow, self-generated stream of novelty, built entirely from imagination. Developmental psychologists have long noted that unstructured, understimulated time is exactly when children's creative play peaks. Give that same child a tablet, and the stick-into-sword game disappears almost instantly. Why generate your own novelty slowly when someone else will hand it to you instantly? The drive never left. It just found an easier, lower-effort outlet. Picture 2 rooms side by side. One child building a fort from couch cushions, one child swiping a screen, and ask which brain is doing more work and getting more out of it. Here is what's actually happening underneath all 5 of those stories. Boredom is not the absence of activity. It's the brain's signal that the current environment has stopped delivering useful new information. In the ancient world, new information arrived constantly, but slowly. A print in the mud, a shift in wind, a change in birdsong, a stranger on the horizon. The brain's novelty-seeking system evolved to sip, not gulp. It was built for scarcity, for long stretches of waiting, punctuated by small, meaningful discoveries that actually meant something for survival. Modern life flipped the supply completely. Now, novelty arrives instantly, constantly, and without effort. A swipe, a buzz, a notification, a new tab. The brain gulps, and gulping breaks the system. Picture a circuit wired for a trickle, suddenly hooked up to a fire hose. It doesn't feel satisfied by the flood. It feels overstimulated, then numb, then desperately restless for more. That restlessness is boredom, not the old, ancient kind your ancestors barely knew, but a new kind they never had to manage. You weren't built to feel bored. You were built to feel a slow, steady curiosity, paced across an entire lifetime. What you're feeling instead is something closer to withdrawal, from a supply your brain was never designed to handle in these doses. It's not a personal failing. It's not a lack of discipline. It's biology, responding exactly as it should, to a world it has never seen before. Every generation before yours lived closer to the trickle. Yours is the first to live entirely inside the fire hose. That's not a moral failure, it's an engineering problem. And engineering problems can be solved. Here's what this actually means for you. You don't need more stimulation. You need slower stimulation. The next time you feel that itch to check your phone for no clear reason, that's not boredom asking to be fed. That's your dopamine system, mistaking a trickle-shaped tool for a fire hose, and demanding more fire hose. Try this instead. Sit somewhere with no screen for 10 minutes and let the discomfort rise to its peak. Then watch it pass. It will pass. It always does. That's not a guess. It's how the system works. Go for a walk with no destination and let your attention drift onto small, real things. A crack in the pavement, the sound of a bird, the texture of bark under your hand. That is the trickle your brain was actually built on. Boredom isn't a flaw in you. It's a mismatch between an ancient brain and a modern feed that was engineered on purpose to exploit it. You don't need to entertain that brain. You need to feed it the way it was always meant to eat, slowly, on purpose, and in small, real doses. The next time you reach for your phone out of pure habit, ask yourself one question. Am I curious, or am I just hungry for a hit I don't actually need? Most of the time, the honest answer is the second one. And just noticing that, without judging yourself for it, is the first step back toward the slower, steadier brain you were actually born with. That question is the closest thing you have to the stillness of that hunter in the sand.